Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the NTT Indycar Open Series here at wonderful Homestead, Miami. I'm Austin Knight. I am joined by Marco Barbanera here for the first round of two for the Homestead doubleheader. We're on the oval today. Marco, how are we doing?
We are doing fantastic, Austin. It's going to be a great race. I absolutely love this racetrack, especially considering the way it has been, let's say, updated during the its existence. We will talk about it at length. Well, not at length, but we will talk about it during the broadcast. Smaller field today, but I guess it's going to be very, very, very competitive field. The race actually split, so it's going to be super close up front between these drivers as qualifying is just about to end.
Yeah, super close indeed up at front. When we bring up the qualifying results, you're going to notice something very cool about this track. It is close up at the front. Heck, top 13, all within a tenth, 2/10 of the leader.
Absolutely, we are also just waiting for the session to switch over, which will happen in exactly 5 seconds time. Just a little bit of an issue with the cameras that I hope to solve immediately. Thankfully we have a full pace lap, starting from the pits, which is something that you don't see very often in iRacing. I love when they have the pace lap, and it is starting from the pits. Here we go with the grid, Austin.
Here is your starting grid for the IndyCar Series, starting up on pole for Team Talent. Andreas Ike with a time of 24.802. And just look at these intervals all the way from 1st to 12th. So close. Liam Quinn almost tied Andreas Ike right there. And he's going to take P2 on the outside row. Oh. These times just updated.
Yeah, apologies. I don't know why the cameras were not working, and now they are. But I think, unfortunately, we will not have the right gaps of the grid. No, sorry, apologies, Austin. You were so excited about the gaps, but still, they are very, 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 very close. And as you can see, Matt Olibo will start in 13th, and I think also AJ Burton failed
That is
to.
that's not the right starting grid.
Okay, perfect. Very, very nice start to the broadcast. Okay.
Yeah, I think we broke something. But anyway, Andreas Ike starting up on pole, followed up by Liam Quinn, John Dowdy, Adam Blocker, Matt Hollabaugh, Simon Bryant, Aaron Roof, Scott Sims, Mark Usher, Laura Gearhart, Clark Archer, Dylan Freckleton, Tanguy Kinganar, AJ Burton, and Matt Pileski in P15. And our timing screen is showing something different. I believe it will be fixed when we just go around.
Yeah, hopefully. The drivers will have to do and remember. I mean, these are very, very, very good drivers, so hopefully they will remember about the rules that in this track are similar to the rules that we have in Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So you have to even harder, because here you have to enter and exit the pit lane, pit road using the access road. In Indy, you just have to exit using the access road. But here you have to also enter, and it's very, very easy for drivers to be caught out by these mistakes.
Andreas Ike and a few other cars taking the actual pit exit road as the Mustang pace car, the best pace car, decides to hop it up onto the baking immediately, as our race grid is now showing the right people. They're Ike, Quinn, Downing, Blocker, Hollyball, Bryant, Sims, Rufus Gearhart, Usher, Archer, Freckleton, Burton, Kingar, and Pileski is our grid here in wonderful Homestead.
Oh yes, so Homestead Miami Speedway opened in 1996, and it was a very bad racetrack in those first few years. It was a clone of Indianapolis, but smaller in scale. So there was no space for passing, and the walls were 90 degrees, very unfavorable contact when you happen to make a mistake. And the first few races there were not good, but the works made it very, very interesting. Here we go.
The hands are in Andreas Cycle. We're going green flag racing here at Homestead Miami Speedway for the NTT Indycar Open Series. Let's get this double-headed started and underway. Look back from Andreas. There's a three-way fight between Blocker, Downing, and Hollowborough. Right behind that, as Liam Quinn is sitting in that draft and getting so close. But look at Blocker around the outside trying to get a good run out of turn 4. Quinn holding down that inside, taking over the lead now. Blocker in the middle, stuck underneath Ike and Quinn, nowhere to go. Here comes Blocker down the back straight. They're going 3 wide heading into turn 3.
Okay, so no hesitation from these drivers. They're already pushing super hard. 3 wide, like we said, small field, but super competitive. That's what happens when the race splits. So Blocker will lead this lap, but here comes Quinn already to take back the lead, as they are also very close at the back. Matt Hollyboy is also getting closer to Andreas Ike and passing him on the inside. Pass for the lead, maybe.
Oh, Blocker forcing his way down the inside, but you can see how much he's moved up track. There's not a lot of grip down there, especially in these cars. You can see in the NASCARs that they like to run that middle line here. There's not enough grip, especially where that pavement changes from the race surface down into that pit road surface. But even with all the downforce that these cars produce, they still have to do slight lifting to keep it on the track. On board with Matt Hollowborough sitting down on the inside line. He's got Andreas Ike, the pole sitter, swooping across that front. Oh, almost a contact between Scott Sims and Matt Hollowborough.
I think it was actually yes, Simon Bryant out of nowhere. So I think Hollowborough had a bad exit from turn 1 and 2, as now Bryant also swung past Andreas Ike, or at least he's trying to do so, as they are super close with each other. Now also Downing there at the front, trying to give his teammate a little bit of slipstream. Great action in the field. As you can see, they are super close at the front once again. Here we go with Ike on the outside, as Olibo trying to pass Scott Sims. Action everywhere around the field. Here comes the Savvy Ninja himself, Aaron Roofs.
Savvy
new
Ninja
livery.
sitting in the... Oh yeah, another new livery. We were talking with him during the race about how he likes to change liveries, and I'm really digging this one. And the battle at the front still hasn't calmed down just a bit. It's calmed down. Adam Blocker is chasing down, but if you look at the field, everyone's favoring that top line and almost getting into the wall. On board at Matt Pileski as he flies past Aaron Roofs and slots into P6. Matt Pileski, biggest mover in the field, already up 9 spots, and we aren't even 10 laps through yet. AJ Burton swinging down the inside of Simon Bryant, getting into P9. You can see the separation of lines between these two cars almost getting so tight up there that they come into each other. But that inside line just doesn't have any speed on the exit.
Oh, very wide from Burton there. 3 and 4, there is no grip. There hasn't been any kind of grip since racing switched to the dynamic track system many years ago now. And the 3 and 4 basically baking under the sun under most conditions. It's very tough to have a cool shady area there. Very tough to get the corner right. Here comes Aaron Roofs again on Matt Pavelski. But the outside seems to be working a bit better right now.
Yeah, outside is looking to be the row of choice, and then the middle line in 3 and 4 is to be the best row for all these drivers. Just see Aaron Roos holding down that inside line, trying to make anything to do there, but each time he's just battling with that broken aero car, nowhere to go. as Pileski gets the jump on the straight, but Roos is holding it on to the corners, and Roos is got it cleared. He gets ahead, slides ahead of Pileski.
Don't know how much they are helping each other by battling like this, Austin, are Roofs and Pavelski, because if they are not careful, Sims could pull away, and he very well might be. And also look, there is now you can see on the mini map starting to be a significant gap between this group and the rest of the field at the front.
Yeah, the battling is definitely hurting them as the leaders are starting to pull away, but that's also helping out cars at the end of the field as Taylor Kingadar is starting to close in. Our Clark Archer and Dylan Freckleton.
Very nice livery, of course, as per usual, as the fight still goes on. Now it's Pavelski and Bryant, but Roofs is not that far away, as you can see. So this mid-pack here is fighting very hard. Clark Archer and Freckleton, as they are fighting. Freckleton also, I think, sporting that livery. Let's see. Oh no, it's a bit different. A bit different. It's but also the helmet, very nice. No, beautiful looking livery. It's, I think, one of the racing default paint with a personal touch. I really like those. If you're not like me, if you're like me, a terrible painter, I think it's perfectly fine to use the racing default paints, but adding some personal touch to them in order to have these unique effects.
I'm one of those guys who use the default paints.
I got a lot of stick in the past when I had my team for that, but it's actually, you know, if you don't have the skills, or if you don't want to pay, you know, money to the, you know, absolutely fantastic paint designers out there, I think it's a good alternative. At least it's not a default paint, it has your personal touches. Burton is going a bit slow.
Yeah, Burton slowed down a little bit. He might have already worn out his tires and is unable to keep up with the rest of the guys. Brian just sitting in the draft of Aaron Roos and Matt Hollebrow. These two have been unmovable throughout this course of the race. Did you see how much speed that Aaron Roos is carried around the top line of Matt Hollebrow? That top line has all the speed. Here comes Simon Bryant trying to do the exact same thing. Diving down the inside. He has the speed. He has the exit, but Matt has the draft. They're still going to be side by side. This is where that bottom line is very hurtful as Matt swings it around the outside, but on the exit now, it's Simon Bryant jumping into P7.
They still keep on fighting. At the same time, Liam Quinn, right now, as we can see on the screen, 1 second on Adam Blocker. That's quite a significant advantage at this point in the game. Adam Blocker has got 1.5 seconds over John Downing in third. We haven't talked much about him, the Sadie Sim Autosport driver, in front of Team Talent's own Andreas Syke. Then it's Scott Sims there. And of course this pack here still fighting hard with Bryant, also Sadie, Aaron Roofs and Matt Hollebrow. They are, again, fighting hard against each other, which is very entertaining for us, but I don't know how entertaining, how useful for them. And look, we haven't talked much about Mark Asher, #1 rated driver in the room. Of course, in this series, the numbers are given out based on the road eye rating. As, who's that? Pavelski going very wide and moving down. So the numbers may not be truly reflective of the actual pace of the drivers, especially on the oval side.
Yeah, it's always crazy when you have road series racing on ovals. Sometimes numbers don't reflect the actual skill of the drivers, but they will next week when we go back to Homestead for the doubleheader, but on the road course.
Oh yes, this reminds me of Actually, this was the first race of the 1996 Champ Car, or kart at the time, season. And it was the first ever race held at this racetrack, which was built basically after severe weather affected this Miami-Dade County area a couple of years earlier. So this was done as a requalification project for this bit of land, and so the track opened officially with that first race of the 1996 kart season, won by Jim. Well, it was the IndyCar World Series back then because the split had already happened, but for one more season, kart had the right to the IndyCar name. And Jimmy Vasser won the race, and they, in pre-season they tested 4 days here. It was 2 days on the oval, and 2 days on the road course. So they basically had good test on both kind of racing on one racetrack. It's and again, it was a very different Homestead Miami Speedway back then, with this again Indianapolis Motor Speedway but scaled down, and so it was not let's say not good for the racing and the show. But now it's much better.
Now it's definitely much better and much more enjoyable. I saw photos of the old Speedway and some old races from there, and I'm just like, who thought this was a good idea? But now with this redesign, it is perfect. Yeah,
it is the most unique, in my opinion, 1.5-mile racetrack in North America. And it's a much maligned kind of racetrack, the 1.5-miler, especially because we have an abundance of those in NASCAR nowadays, the cookie cutter racetrack, but this is anything but a cookie cutter racetrack, 1.5 miles. It's actually one of the few perfectly symmetrical tracks in NASCAR, or IndyCar, whatever, or ovals, and it makes for very, very interesting racing, as once again hike and downing, exchanging positions. We are heading into lap 30 next time by. Austin, I make a bold prediction that there won't be many cautions tonight, judging by the speed these drivers are having today and the fact that it's a small field, a highly rated field, and seems like they are fighting with respect so far. So maybe when the time comes for pit stops or the tires start to go, even though we are near 30th lap, so the tires are really starting to go, I think. I mean, it's going to be tough, to get a caution, which will make green flag pitting all the more important, and it's super easy to overshot your pit, the access road here, and go into the grass and do all sorts of nasty stuff, or plainly forgetting to take the access road, which I talked about in the beginning. I've been guilty of that a couple of times.
Yeah, the access road is very important here for the pit entry, because this is a short run into the pit, so you're going to have to be very aggressive on the brakes. If you miss that, you get to see how much speed Stephen Bryant's losing as the tires are running off, because that was Scott Sims rocketing down the front, down the back straight, and getting past John Downing. And I think the track has changed now, as the lower line at the front of the turns 1 and 2 is the better line. As Laura Gerhardt passing Matt Hollowbrow down that inside line. Does she get back? No, she doesn't clear him yet. She's going to have to hold down that inside line. And here comes Matt swinging around the outside now. Here goes Simon Bryant on Aaron Roos. Savvy Ninja, can he defend from Aaron? Simon gets it. 56. Now they want to hold this top line. They want to carry the speed, but he's just following the draft now.
Yeah, and that's not going to help. The more we get into the tire run, of course, the more the dirty air becomes a problem. Simon Bryant is falling back.
Yeah, falling back, you mean charging forward?
Charging forward, of course, that was his teammate Downing, as we have a taker.
Yeah, our first driver in the pits, Dylan Freckleton, on lap 33 is going to make our first stop with us. And the laps are so short here. He's already lapped down. As here comes Matt Pileski also taking the pit lane. And we just have a driver go off track. Scott Sims is drifting
spinning
through the infield, and he's come to a complete stop, got the car back rotated. I think he was trying to take the entry road. Yeah, he's in 3 and 4 right now. Scott, oh, he's hit the wall actually.
The front wing is damaged. Let's see the replay. See what happened to him.
And we got a caution out on track, and I believe this is what brought it out. Oh, he's just... I think that may have been a hardware issue. Because he just tapped the wall while going on the straight. And this is what brought out the caution, him driving on the road course.
It is actually true. I once brought out a caution accidentally by doing this in NASCAR racing, here on iRacing. I went for a spin, then I said, okay, I'm going to take the road course and then go to the pits, but the system didn't like this, and there was actually massive confusion among the field as to what caused the caution, as we have some takers already. While, oh, penalty, that's going to be a penalty, that's going to be a penalty, Liam Quinn, don't do it.
Cut track.
And that's going to be an end of line for Liam Quinn. You see, even the best get caught out by this mistake. It's so easy to make it. As Pavelski will stay out, so will Frackleton, so they will get their lap back. So as you can see now, Quinn will have to let everyone by as they go back to the racetrack.
I think you're right, yeah.
Oh, there is one member of the chat, Dakota Dolphin 77, who said that they actually removed the access road mandatory for this racetrack, which I didn't know. And in that case, I apologize to Liam, because he might have outfoxed everyone else, and he is still sitting there in the lead, not giving signs of letting everyone by. And so I think I made a fool of myself, and he you know, everyone played it safe. He didn't, because he knew the rules, and by knowing the rules, he also got a nice jump on everyone else because he was able to pit with relative ease, as Scott Sims is headed for the pits.
Speeding into the pits.
That car is
not
going to be okay. He might even have too much damage to continue.
He's already been into the pits once. I think he just repaired some of it, left out, and then tried to stay on the same lap, but he's already a few laps down. And that might be Scott Sims' race right there. First caution of the night, and, well, you made a bold prediction that we weren't going to have that many cautions, and after what we had at Richmond, I think we're all cautioned out for the rest of the year.
As our blimp is high above the racetrack, Pavelski and Frackleton will get their wave around this time by.
Oh, Dakota's spotting with Liam.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So actually Dylan Frackleton is one lap down, and he got the short end of the stick, because when the caution came out he was behind the leader, apparently. Or maybe he got lap 2. You know, it is very close to lose 1 or 2 laps. So Matt Pavelski is on the lead lap after the wave around, but Dylan Frackleton will not be. He will be 1 lap down. So he will need another caution and a bit of help to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, and we saw Sims coming out of the pits right there. That's going to hold him up just a little bit. As we have just 2 more quarters to go. As Scott trying to
This
slow down,
car.
but he missed the pit lane. He's going to have to stop it and tow
Yeah.
it.
So we have our first casualty of the evening, and I have to say that it took something a bit crazy to have the first caution of the night. So drivers were given this nice reset, and will have the chance to go at it very, very soon, as the pace car, as you can see, is headed for the pit lane right now.
Pace car is in. And Liam Quinn is going back recent as we are going back green at Homestead, Miami. Good run by Adam Blocker, staying behind. Liam going to try swinging around to the outside line now on those fresh tires. And into that dirty air. Who's got the better exit? They all swing down to the inside. Adam Blocker, he's on the back wheel of Liam Quinn. As they're racing 1 and 2 through turns 1 and 2. Adam Blocker's got another good run. That top line's been very good to the few drivers. Scott Sims is back out on track. And here comes Adam Blocker swinging around the outside, but that outside line is not that fast through turns 1 and 2, but he's got his nose up in there, and Adam Blocker is back in the lead. Locked in right there. But the battle for third place is not locked in, as you see that close battle between Ike and Brian. Going to jump up into P3 now. Here comes Quinn. Quinn's going for that outside line and the lead. They're so close they almost touch. It's right on board. Now Bright Scott Sims stops on the infield and tows back to the pits.
That's gotta be it for him.
Definitely. Bryant swinged around the outside, and now he's in P2 ahead of Adam Blocker. Simon Bryant is on a roll today. We saw him slowing up, and then we just saw him gain so much speed as he got the track locked down. And I would say Simon Bryant is the fastest car on track. But as I say that, Liam Quinn is just pulling away from the rest of the field right now, as Bryant and Blocker are battling with each other. But just look how much speed that Bryant gained out of 3 and 4 compared to Blockers.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially early in the tire run. It's crazy how much the draft is, helping the drivers. Then when the tires fall off, the draft is actually not helping you because of all the dirt here in the corners. I mean, it's super close between Bryant, Blocker, and let's jump on board with Andreas Ike, who has the best seat in the house.
Andreas Ike is ready to lock and load and pounce on these 2 drivers. Bryant diving out to the inside, Blocker going high. Ike gets a load of dirty air, and Downing jumps up. And we got a 3-way fight for P2. Here comes John Downing up onto the inside of Adam Blocker. Adam Blocker forced to go high. The 2 Sadie drivers, though, in a little bit of a fight with each other as Ike gets around Downing.
Yeah, it's almost like Bryant unwittingly gave dirty air to his teammate there and forced him to basically stop mid-corner. This helped, of course, Blocker stay in front and Ike stay in front of Downing. So this fight continues, and once again they keep fighting, and Liam Quinn, with apparently a great setup, is also driving absolutely fantastic. He is pulling away. Of course, he might have the same setup as Andrea Syke, given the two are teammates, as you can see by the the identical scheme with different colors, of course, for the two drivers. So maybe so far staying in clean air is like it has been many times in the past, I should say, here in Homestead. That's the key. Having a great setup helps, but if you are in clean air all the time, it is of course much better than having this huge four-way dogfight for second place.
I believe it's more of a three-way fight, because John Downing might just be taking a seat now, just enjoying the view of these three guys battling ahead of him, and Liam Quinn is enjoying the view in his rearview mirror as he's pulling away from Bryant Blocker and Ike. And this is great news if you are Liam Quinn. Also got another three-way fight between Gerhard Pawleski and Burton.
Pawleski close to the wall.
Almost gets the back of Burton.
Yeah, Burton disappointing so far today. I was expecting more out of him. As you know, Pawleski going very, very high every time. I was talking to him before the race, and he was not very confident. But I know that he's always very, very, downplaying his chances at a good race. But he's not going very quickly today.
Yeah, some drivers were struggling to set up at this track and just struggling to get the good line as Burton jumps ahead of Pawleski, and Gerhard almost tries to do the same, but Pawleski just sticks it right there. But AJ Burton with that lovely ARTV sticker on his rear fender, thank you for that, and a nice pig at the front.
Oh yeah, going to tackle Daytona tomorrow with yours truly, so hopefully he behaves nicely.
And I'll also be on track. If you're in my split, please don't yeet it into turn one around me.
I'll be driving the DP, so don't worry.
You especially?
I'll be driving the late night stints in Italy.
So am I.
Well, my late night stints are not your late night stints, no? So, to give you an idea, I'll be driving around 7 p.m. Eastern, more or less.
Well, that's when I get in the car.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you will recognize my car, so you will have plenty of time to move out of the way. Oh, Pawleski hit the wall this time, huh?
Yeah, Pawleski was in the wall. Don't see any damage on there, but he is struggling with that wheel. Let's take a little short replay from Pawleski. He did get into the wall. Nope.
No, maybe it was another moment.
Oh, he's just run up against that wall so close.
Pawleski's in the pits, huh? So. Let's see now. Hopefully we'll get the right replay.
Oh, yeah. There it goes. Big tap into the wall. And that may have gave him some damage. He's in the pits right now. He was the first car in the pits. He actually made a green flag pit stop on lap 33.
You see the right rear wheel cover is bent and damaged. So
oh yeah,
that was a pretty significant hit. I would expect some steering arm suspension damage there as well. It is getting tighter and tighter, especially in the draft. Tell you what, let's jump on board with Ike for a second and give you the weather report.
It is a lovely 81 degrees here in beautiful Miami, Florida. And the track temp is a sizzling 126 degrees. Perfect temperature to cook some eggs. So just throw a pan down there, throw your eggs, and wait a couple minutes, and you'll be having some good old omelet as you're watching the Indycars race around the oval for the start of this doubleheader. We're almost halfway through this race. the weight jacker use in these cars are gotta be overused so much right now because the cars are so tight and then they get loose and then you see them get tight again as you get to see the track getting rubbered in with this dynamic track model. It's just, oh, so beautiful to see.
You know what, Austin? We showed a lot of races over the past few months, but now that I think about it, we never really talked about the weight jacker. So, for our new viewers, can you explain what the weight jacker is, what it does, and how the drivers can use it?
The weight jacker is a movable in-car device that the driver controls. It moves a little ballast weight forward into the nose and then back into the cockpit. It helps the car's maneuverability throughout a corner and keeps the car controlled, so you can either move it forward to make it more front heavy and move it back to make it more rear heavy. If you drive the Silver Crown car, you also have a weight jacker. May move it forward, just positive nose, and then more harder to turn, more locked down, and then if you want the car more loose, you back it up. And that is pretty much how the weight jacker is used. I've not mastered it in the Indycar, but I've done it in the Silver Crown car.
Oh yeah, no, that's a perfect explanation. Of course, the weight jacker is only available on the ovals, just as the push to pass is only available on the road. Speaking of the Silver Crown, you just reminded me that I will actually have to drive it later down the line, because I'm gunning for the Ironman trophy in the major series this year. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's a car I never driven on my most hated track of all the ovals, Lucas Oil. So that's going to go well. But it's a few months down the line, so we have to focus on Daytona 24 and of course the 500, which is coming very soon, as Mark Asher on the inside of Andreas Eich. Andreas Eich has been falling backwards just a bit, as Liam Quinn is also always enjoying a nice drive at the front. Actually, the biggest mover so far is Aaron Roofs, who is slowly but surely holding on his own in 7th place with 7 places gained with number 14. So almost a perfect string on our live timing. And the biggest loser, of course, is Matt Pavelski, who I'm afraid
Scott Sims.
Scott Sims has lost.
He's out of the race.
Yeah. I mean, I might have all my numbers messed up now that I think about it, because of the fact that I had to reload the overlay before the broadcast, so never mind what I just said, and let's go back to the action.
Yeah, Liam Quinn, he started with P2.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Then I just said a lot of stupid things. Ignore me, please.
Everyone ignore the last few minutes. Marco forgot how to read. As Ike jumps down the inside heading into turn 1, and he's going to secure that position for P5. And Andreas Ike, pole sitter, now only 4 spots lower from where he qualified. As, oh no, in the dirty air, Mark Usher saved it from getting into the wall. And Aaron Roos took all great jumps out of there and jumped ahead, but so heart and mouth right there for Mark Usher.
These guys are actually starting to slip and slide. More than slip and slide, I should correct myself. They are starting to be very tight. As you see now, Burton going super high to pass Olibo. I think these cars are getting to the point of undrivability when they are in the draft, and you get so much aero push, and the understeer is actually killing you. It's a terrible feeling. I can tell you, when you are following someone and the more you turn, the more the car doesn't respond, and you see this wall, especially, I will say this again, this damn 3 and 4 wall here at Homestead, getting and inching closer and closer and closer and closer until you finally, push too much and one lap, and then you go and hit the barrier, and that's basically the end of your race, because you don't want to have any kind of damage. On this car, as a blocker
is out. I think
disappeared.
that may just be a connection.
Hopefully he reappears. He does
He's back.
reappear.
P2. Right in that camera, too. Blocker. Yeah, even in cleaner, you can see how much Blocker's working that wheel and struggling to keep it away from the wall. Watch how high he shoots up. Gets so close to the wall. He's actually steering towards it. That's how far his steering column's adjusted. A little bit turning right. Doesn't have to fully crank it to the left now, but he's struggling for grip. These cars have been out on these tires for 40 laps.
And as we say thank you to Mr. Sandras Shumi for subscribing to Apex Racing TV. Thank you very much. And he is running in clean air, which is even more crazy if you think about it, because he's struggling in clean air. So I cannot even imagine what these guys are going through right now, especially Olibo seems to be in big trouble. But he's not the only one. You see Andrea Saik trying to pass the savvy ninja himself. Aaron Roofs, side by side heading into 3 and 4. And still the outside seems to be much more reliable in launching your car, but I think Ike is carrying a bit more speed overall with his setup. Freckleton went into the pits, is now lapping 26.0, the leader's last lap 26.5, so roughly half a second quicker than everyone else. And he is right now in a bit of a pickle, because he's in front of Bryant and behind Blocker, and he wants to get past these guys if he wants to maximize his undercut. And also remember, he's one lap down. He needs to pass as many cars as possible, because he was 1 lap down when he pitted, so he needs to pass the leaders and pray for a caution, and maybe we'll be back on the lead lap.
Yeah, Ferguson's on lap 74 as the leaders are on lap 77. You lose a few laps when you green flag pit stop here. So you want to maximize the car's uses as much as you can, and that's what these guys up at front are doing. And just look at this lead that Liam Quinn has to Adam Blocker. And Blocker's getting the draft from Freckleton, and that is helping Liam Quinn out so much, because Blocker is now dealing with Freckleton's dirty air. You get to see his time falling down more and more, almost to 2 seconds. On the straight, he's getting it back, but it's hurting him in the turns.
This fight between Burton and Gerard still going on, as Burton goes very wide. Now he gets a better exit, of course, but will it be enough? Of course, there is the much, infamous technique that it's actually, as Burton goes.
Burton's going into the pits.
Yeah, the famous mirror driving. That basically means that when you are in front of someone, you follow his line from the mirror, and basically you give him the most aero push possible. It's perfectly fine, but of course it doesn't promote a lot of overtaking, and makes it very difficult for the cars that follow you to actually get a good run. Bryant now pushing hard to get past Adam Blocker. Adam Blocker now being left in the rearview mirror by Dylan Freckleton. So should have less of a problem with dirty air, but we saw that in clean air you are still struggling massively, as Burton comes out of the pits, and he will be... the track map disappeared. Yeah, but I actually forgot to put the track map back on, so there it is, and you can see that Burton is now on the start-finish line. And 1 lap down, like you said, as these two guys are still going at it, as we are waiting for the other drivers to come into the pits.
Yeah, Liam Quinn still staying out. This may have been a great move by AJ Burton to try to undercut massively, yes, by the guys in the lead. I'm sorry if I just forgot about that word for some reason. But Brian and Blocker, these two guys, they have all the strategy to go, and here comes Blocker. Much cleaner start than Burton.
Oh, for sure. Let's keep an eye on the lap times. AJ Burton coming on the start-finish line. Remember, he's one lap down. He puts down a 25.5. Last from
And
Liam Quinn, 27.0, and he's in. Oh,
Quinn very sideways, almost getting into the barrels right there. And Simon Bryant, John Downing, and the rest of the field are staying out. So Liam Quinn also go for the undercut, but not the super undercut. Let's get a replay of Liam Quinn's pit entry. See him dropping down to 4th gear already. Out of the gas, staying down inside, just laid on the brakes. Direct slide for the barrels. But he got it in there.
In the days of, I think, like 10 years ago, more or less, someone in IRL got straight into, for Ganassi Racing, got straight into those yellow thingies there. It was
Barrels.
Yeah. It was quite a spectacular crash.
Yeah, the spray of the water was amazing because I was watching that replay the other day. And Andreas Ike, Mark Usher heading into the pits. Mark Usher's missed it, and Ike has hit the wall. Ike has tapped the barrels. Mark Usher has missed it. Mark Usher spun.
We are staying green now.
On track, and we are still green here at Homestead. But big pit lane drama as Ike has hit the barrel, and Ike's now got damage.
Let's get a replay super quickly. But not this. But this.
Here's Andreas Ike heading into the pits, and this is what caused it all. Back, this tank slapped it, and that's gave him a little bit of suspension damage right there. Let's get the rear view mirror. Here comes Usher, and Usher almost comes into the back of Ike.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Oh, that's a big bend. The back right. Let's get it from Usher. Usher just had so much speed, and he just had to back out right there, and then, oh, it just loses it. Spins up the wheels, unable to do anything. Stops it, but we kept it green, and he's missed his pit box.
Wow, I mean, when things can go wrong, they go wrong.
They go wrong. And Simon Bryant, still on these tires, is in the lead. And the rest of the guys who haven't pit yet is Aaron Roos and John Downing as Clark Archer heads into the pit lane.
The damage is still there, so I think he will have to deal with it with Andreas Ike for the rest of the race. As we have Clark Archer in the pits. Bryant, Roofs, Downing, the 3 drivers still have to pit. Here comes Bryant.
And Downing. And Downing is actually staying out as Roofs and Bryant head into the pit lane. John Downing wanting that extra lap and wanting to go as far as he can on these tires because we have 40 minutes left. No, not 40 minutes, 40 laps left here at Homestead. And these guys just went that distance on these tires, so it's green flag racing now, and that's a very early breaking point for Bryant as we have, for Downing, as we have, Downing's still in the lead because he's still a lap ahead, but Blocker is closing in.
Oh, trouble!
As Aaron Roos, big slide. Avoid the road course to keep it green. He's going to go onto the access road, gain up speed, and I believe carry on his way. Yes, he is, as Adam Blocker now takes the lead. So close with Liam Quinn. Ooh, he's racing with John Downing on the exit. And is this just pit limiter? Yep. Back up front with Liam Quinn and Adam Blocker. The battle for the lead here at Homestead. They're lapping cars right now. AJ Burton 7 seconds back. But after these green flag pit stops, Adam Blocker, who went ahead of Liam Quinn, the undercut worked out beautifully for him. Went into the pits. 10 laps to go. 1 ahead of Liam Quinn. Great move by Blocker. As Freckleton's just struggling for grip on that outside line. see how that dirty air affected him. AJ Burton, 8 seconds behind Quinn and Blocker. He was one of the first drivers. He was the first driver that initiated this pit stop cycle back on lap 79. Nope.
Yeah, he was. He absolutely was. You are absolutely correct. And so far it has paid off. Now, of course, you will have to fight against the fresher tires of, well, Bryant has got 11 laps fresher tires, for example. And
he's going to be struggling for grip at the very end of this race, though.
Yeah, I mean, he needs another caution, basically. I think he got the track position back with this move, but now he has to get the caution, maybe not now, maybe 10 laps from now, 20 laps from now, so everyone goes into the pits, and we have more or less an even playing field with a race for the checkered flag on equal footing, as now Blocker is enjoying the clean air, and Blocker might think about starting to try and pull away. Let's see the gap in real time between the drivers. Lap by lap.
Quinn is falling away from Blocker. Blocker with that dirty air is making it go very well. You can see that live interval on your left side of the screen between Blocker and Quinn. It's gaining up right now, as Blocker has all the grip in the world. Liam Quinn and Adam Blocker on same relative tires. Now, the best person on tires, I would say, if the race were to go green flag right now, all the way to the end, would have to be John Downing, as he went into the pits on lap 91.
Overtake here. Bryant gets past AJ Burton. So still already, I think, struggling with the I mean, 11 laps, fresher tires for Bryant on Burton. That's a big difference. And now look at the clean air. How much is it helping Adam Blocker now? It helped Liam Quinn all race long, but now, thanks to the good cycle in the pit stops, it's Blocker who's enjoying the fresh and clean and mostly empty track in front of him, and Quinn struggling in his draft there, 1 second behind. Last lap he lost 0.2 of a second. Let's see this time around. He actually virtually identical lap times, because I think it's because the gap increased a bit more, and then he's feeling less and less the effects of the draft, but these are going to get bigger and bigger with each passing lap. The saving grace for Quinn, I think, is that they might be running into lap traffic a bit earlier than in the previous run. Actually, you can see they are half a straightaway away from Tanguy Keginer and 1 straightaway more or less away from Aaron Roos, the Savvy Ninja. So we might see some more lap traffic shenanigans, and it's going to be difficult to get around these guys, especially with all the dirty air that the lappers will inevitably throw at them. So this could be an interesting thing to keep following as we are heading into the final 30 laps of this race. I mean, we are having the polar opposite of our last oval race, Austin, in Richmond, because there we have a boatload of cautions, many single car crashes. Here we have had 1 caution for a freak occurrence, of course, because that's never a caution in any other racetrack apart from this. And we are actually it's actually good, because this was a very long race, 133 laps. It's no joke around this place, but we are already entering the final 30, and we should be, I think, green until the end, and barring some very strange behavior from these drivers, because they have acted very respectful despite the constant passing that we have seen all over the field tonight.
Constant passing and very interesting tire strategies, because I believe that these guys at the front are going to be so struggling with these tire grip at the end, because they're going to have to pull out a 50-lap pit stint. They did it last time, but they were struggling with pits so much, and Dylan Freckleton's back into the pits. He went into the pits on lap 69, I believe. So that's an early stop for him, but he's going to be on the freshest tires throughout the field. But if we stay green, the battle at the front is going to be more about how well you are at the tire management, because Simon Bryant hit 7 laps after those guys at the lead. So he's going to have a good 7-lap boost on Blocker and Quinn. So watch that relative between Bryant and Quinn as we're on board with Laura Gearhart, as she is following Andreas Ike and AJ Burton. AJ Burton up 10 spots, the biggest mover of this race. He was struggling a lot. We saw him fling down from the inside track to the top side, almost collecting another car and almost having an incident. But these guys and girls, have been having a great fight as Andreas Ike swinging around to the outside of AJ Burton once again. Went front up the track, but he's been overtaken by the pole sitter, Andreas Ike. Now in P4, and here comes Laura Gearhart sneaking past AJ Burton.
I don't know if AJ has some damage, Austin, sorry, but really he's struggling massively already with his tires, you know, so yes, he's got 11 laps older tires than Bryant, but the gap, I mean, he has got the same tires, sorry,
oh. For 40 laps. No, 30.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, for example, he stopped on lap 79. Gerhard and Ike stopped on laps 86, so it's not a huge difference, but still he's
hit the fall off.
Yeah, I mean, unless he has some damage, but I cannot spot it from here. Let's see if we can go slow motion. No, that car seems to be pretty clean on the right side.
Yeah, car is clean. Covered by rubber pellets, though. Which is a great detail on these cars.
Yeah. The important thing is that the ARTV and the pig logos stay clean. And they are. I mean, the front they're clean. In the back, bit less.
Not so much. I'm a fan for race-worn cars, and, you know, rubber pellets look great on anything. Especially if it's in victory lane and then covered by a bunch of the bubbly, which is what Blocker is dreaming about right now, as he's pulled out a 2.8-second gap to Liam Quinn.
Will this be your first Daytona 24 on iRacing?
Yes.
Okay, so if they haven't changed it after a few hours, basically the apron coming out of the infield section will become basically like Homa Beach. Like you can plant, you know, your chair, your reclining chair, and bake in the sun. Basically, it gets so full of sand. It's like basically Homa Beach. So I mean, it's going to be quite interesting to see the effect of the dirt being that accumulates more and more on the apron at Daytona coming out of the infield. And of course, beware of that dreadful and dreaded ever-present yellow flag, which you never know if it's true or not.
I remember us in the majors, because we're on the same team in the majors. Just always communicating that here's a yellow flag. And Quinn is gaining on Blocker. Blocker's dropped off 3/10 this lap. What's happened to Blocker?
Let's see. Adam Blocker.
Did he tire fall off?
I think he went past Tanga and Keginer. Maybe. Let's see. Certainly
Quinn's gaining.
Quinn is gaining. Let's see this time around. Oh, losing. Let's see. Is Quinn in the draft of Keginer? Actually,
no.
Quinn no, that's
right
Quinn. That's not Keginer. Stupid Marco. They still have to pass Kenginer. Here he is.
Kenginer is on 3 and 4. There's Blocker right there. I just saw that relative drop from the corner of my eye, and I think that's because these tires have hit the fall off, because look at Simon Bryant. That's now at 5 seconds. It was at 8.
He's lapping 3/10 faster than the guys in front of him, sorry, and still 2-3 faster than the guys behind him. So he's clearly enjoying these last few laps. Also pushing really hard is John Downing, even though he's lapping in the 26.4 because he has the third year of hike and Gerhard right in front of him. So right now, even though he's got 1 lap older tires, Bryant seems to be the best car poised for this late race run because of, he's got 6 and 7 laps younger tires than Blocker and Quinn respectively.
Yeah, that interval between Blocker and Quinn is dancing up and down right now. Their tires have definitely hit the fall-off point of 30 laps, which is what I got in testing and what we usually see here on track. That around 30, it's just the car just gets very hard to handle, and especially in this 126 track temperature, especially in 3 to 4, the cars just get so dicey. They are in a group, so they aren't going to be dicing around as lot as Gerhard and Downing are. As Downing gets a great run onto the front straight and jumps ahead into P5. But it is definitely going to be a tire game now, as we have 14 laps remaining here at Homestead.
Car in front of Bryant is Mark Asher. 1 lap down still.
Usher's going to be giving Bryant some dirty air. You can see him dropping down to 4th gear, trying to stay out of that draft and just get ahead of him, as Quinn drops down to 3 seconds behind Blocker as he struggles with some dirty air. No, Quinn is not struggling with any dirty air. That's just Quinn and Quinn alone. But Mark Usher is behind Quinn, and Mark Usher went into the pits on lap 87. So struggling with the same grip. Simon Bryant, lap 90. Best chance to get past Liam Quinn right here. And if you're Liam Quinn, you're begging for a yellow. Because just look at that relative fall down.
And Quinn has even fresher tires than Blocker, even though only just 1 lap. So
1 lap.
There is not a lot of time left in the race, but Bryant is really showing the quickest pace so far in the entire field. And if he can get around if he can get around Quinn quickly, might even have with the help of a yellow. Even though you see now the draft comes into play, the dirt year comes into play, and he just basically laps identical to Quinn. Let's see if this will help him, as Burton drops behind Archer, so another place lost by him. Let's see this time around, as the laps are counting down super quickly in this phase of the race. 2 tenths gained once again. Back in a good position. We thank you, Hans Puchler, for subscribing to Apex Racing TV here on YouTube. Hopefully you are enjoying the show as much as we are.
As Bryant gets around Usher, finally, that dirty air was hurting Bryant so much from Mark Usher, and now the fight is on between Quinn and Bryant for P2 here at Homestead, with just 7 laps to go.
Oh man, he's coming in faster. Look at that.
He's already there. Blinking and missed it in 1 line. Bryant has closed in on Quinn. Quinn's going slow down the front straight, and Simon Bryant is going to charge up into P2. He's going to fly into turn 1 down on the inside line. Bryant ahead of Quinn, and Bryant, with that late tire stop, is in P2, and he's now 2.7 seconds to Adam Blocker with 6 laps remaining here at Homestead. Can he close in on Adam Blocker? Simon Bryant and Adam Blocker started around in the same row.
Oh man.
But if you just look at these relatives, those tires are absolutely marble fine and are basically rocks on wheels. I'm surprised they aren't sparking because Simon Bryant is closing in chunk by chunk on Adam Blocker. Because 124, 125, 126, he was in dirty air. Now in clean air. Simon Bryant, another 4/10 chopped off on Adam Blocker. 2 seconds to first and second. Simon Bryant, late charge, 4 laps to go. Can he make it?
And that's why we love this series, Austin. It's even in a race with a little bit less action, we are seeing a setup for a possible great finish, the drama, the tension, another half a second gained by Bryant in this lap 1.5 with 4 laps left.
4 laps left, half a second each lap gain. It's going to come down to the line between Blocker and Bryant. Bryant 1 second behind Adam Blocker. Adam seeing that relative fall down, so he's preparing himself for one of the hardest fights he has had on the ovals. One of iRacing IndyCar's best oval drivers on the series is going to show you what he's made of with a few laps remaining, as Bryant is in that dirty air, but I don't think he minds. He's closing down on Adam Blocker. 8/10, 7/10 between them as they have 2 laps to go. Green, white, checkered.
He's coming down below. Lucy can do a much narrower and tighter line in 1 and 2, and he's closing in 0.3 of a second as we head into 3 and 4, and he's going for it. Ooh, not quite. White flag in the air. Sadella Blanca here at Miami Speedway.
Here comes Bryant and Blocker. White flag out. Bryant going down the inside. He's going to take it in 1 and 2. Blocker going to try to hold it around the outside. Blocker going up to the wall. Bryant is going to clear him, and Bryant has done almost the impossible. From back in the grid, Bryant has taken the lead from Adam Blocker for what seemed to be a for sure win, but it belongs to Simon Bryant on the last lap. Adam Blocker in P2, Liam Quinn finishing in 3rd. What a race and chargeback for Simon Bryant.
What a race. What a fantastic, fantastic race. Last lap pass. This was, the let's say, the prize maybe for us and the viewers and the drivers for having to suffer through what was certainly, as we have a wreck after the finish. After that, let's say, anticlimactic ending at Richmond 2 weeks ago. This was a fantastic ending, and look at that, the donuts on the start-finish line for our race winner, and he gets a nice slow motion from our cameras as Simon Bryant, well-deserved winner. What a fantastic race. The first half belonged to Liam Quinn, the second half to Adam Blocker, but in the end, it was Simon Bryant.
Laps,
I mean,
Simon Bryant.
It was absolutely, and he made the pass, of course, when it mattered the most. Here we go with the results.
Taking the win, it is Simon Bryant ahead of Adam Blocker. Liam Quinn completes the podium as they're ahead of Andreas Ike, John Downing, Lauren Gerhardt, Clark Archer, Aaron Roos, Tanguy Kingenar, AJ Burton, Mark Usher, Matt Hollbrow, Dylan Freckleton, Matt Pileski, and Scott Sims completes the grid. We're going to take a little small break as we wait for drivers to get into the interview room.
Oh yes, we are waiting for the drivers to come, and of course we are already gearing up for next week, as we have the 2 Sadie teammates enjoying life on the start-finish line. And now Bryant taking a victory lap, and sadly not a Polish victory lap, but nevertheless enjoying a good running around with John Downing. Fantastic victory for the Sadie Sim Autosport team. And Bryant, very, very well deserved after a fantastic chase throughout the second part of the race. Still waiting for the drivers to come. I would hope and think that they are coming right now, especially the winner after the celebration going around. The link is already in the Discord. So while we wait for him, Austin, what can we expect from the road course? And we are going to use the B version, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I know which one. We are using the one with the oval. We do the entire
Yes.
3 and 4. I don't know if it's. I think it's the B version. But still, what can
Yes,
we
it
expect?
is. It's the B version. So instead of taking 1 and 2 like normal, we're going to dive down into a very well designed road course here at Homestead, Miami. It's got a few good chicanes, a great hairpin, I must say, followed up by two straights. And then they're going to do another hairpin, come back out onto the back straight, and ride above on 3 and 4 into a great braking zone, kind of like Daytona into turn 1. So all it's going to be a crazy, crazy race because also no cautions here. So what goes around comes around, and it's kind of tight in there in the road course. So it's going to be a very, very crazy race next week in this wonderful double header we got in season 1. And I really wish we had more double headers throughout the
Mm-hmm.
season.
Yeah, I mean, Austin, I think that especially the other version, but this one still as well of the road course, as Bryant is about to come with us for the interview, is the closest thing we've had on iRacing to a street circuit before we had Detroit. So it was certainly it's great to have it. The walls are very very tight, but now I stop talking because you are standing there with our very very well deserved race winner Simon Bryant.
Simon Bryant, congrats on the win. Last lap pass, turns 1 and 2. Take us through it.
Yeah, pretty amazing race. Knew we had the car to get it done around mid race. I kind of felt a little confident as I was behind Blocker there. Both him and Liam ran an amazing race, but they pitted a little early based upon what I was seeing from crew chief and everything like that. So I thought they might have been low on fuel. They might have been saving towards the end there. But I knew by extending, running out that full green flag stint and then pitting, we would have the tires for the end. And I mean, they came out of a pits 10 seconds in front because of the amount of speed they could get on those fresh tires, but we were able to close that gap. And, a few back markers in the way, which worried me a little bit, but Mark was nice enough to keep going high. And then I was able to go down the inside and keep picking up spots as we went, and worked out. Last lap pass, you can't beat that for adrenaline. So it was a really great race.
It was great showing as well. We were watching your interval between Bryant and Quinn and Blocker fall down as they hit that tire wall around 30 laps. Their pace just drops out of nowhere, and then you just went from 8 seconds all the way up to 5 seconds. And when that happened, we honestly believe that you were going to give us a great show. Uh, the pace to Adam was still questionable, but it was amazing to watch. Congrats on the win, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we were going kind of crazy on Discord afterwards, so it was a great win, probably one of the best I've had. So I feel really good.
I'm pretty sure you're going to be enjoying the bubbly tonight, are you?
We got the Daytona 24 hours coming up, so gonna head off to go do qualifying practice for that now. So maybe.
A man of focus, I see. Well, before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, my whole team. Obviously, it's Sadie Simsort. Brad, Dave, John, Adam, Rick, all those guys for putting these setups together. I can't do it without those guys, and then obviously everyone behind the scenes as well making this happen.
All right. Thank you, Simon. Congrats on the win. We'll see you exactly in the same pit lane next week as we complete the doubleheader, but on the road course version.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And now we have Adam Blocker. Marco, I'm going to let you take that. Oh.
Thank you very much, Austin, and welcome to the booth, Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course I can imagine a little bit of you're a bit sad because of course it's never nice to lose the race win on the final lap. But tell us about your race and tell us about your strategy that you used to get in front after staying in second place, if I'm not mistaken, for most of the race.
Well, I mean, I didn't really have much choice. I was trying to pass Liam, but I mean, the track was so hot, there wasn't a lot of grip. So the first stint after a few laps, I just didn't really have a chance besides staying behind him. And then once we got a caution, and then there was a fight between me, Liam, and Simon, and I really burnt my tires up completely in that fight, trying to get the lead because I knew clean air would be important. And then when I didn't get it, I ended up getting back past Simon to get second, but at one point my tires fell off a cliff, and like my right rear was down to 25% wear. So yeah, and then Simon passed me, and then I just immediately pitted. I didn't know if I could make it on fuel or not from there, and it turned out that I couldn't. I had to save a lap, and it wasn't. I was gambling that I would get clean air in front of Liam, and I did. I managed to come up in front of Liam, which was important. Helped me build a gap. Um, and then, but the problem was, the stint was just so long that between saving fuel and then also just like the tires just fell off at the end. So there's not really anything I could do. I think if I hadn't gone for that strategy, Liam probably would have beat me. So I think it was really tough.
It looked from here, watching you guys, especially when you were in the draft, that the aero push was absolutely horrible out there today.
Yeah, I mean the track temperature was like 125 Fahrenheit. So, I mean, anytime you get that in this car, it's just going to be a lot of aero push. There's not really much you can do about it. That's why I was trying all sorts of things. I was trying adding front wing in the stops. I was trying adding more cross weight with the weight jacker or softening the front ARB. And it's just like if you get rotation, and then entry to the corner, then you're just gonna have snap oversteer on the exit, especially because like the road camber changes a lot on exit into turn 2, so it's pretty easy to like burn up the right rear going over that. And then that's what happened in that second stint. I'd add front wing and then trying to add a lot of cross weight and stuff to keep it planted in the fight. But then you just start like driving off the right rear and like drifting, so it's not good.
So next week we will be back for the road course race here. What is your prediction? How do you think that race will pan out?
I think it'll be really interesting. I think the main thing is it's gonna be weird because it's a road course that doesn't really require a lot of downforce because it's like slow speed corners, then essentially a long straight. So, but obviously downforce will still help you in braking zones and stuff. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what people have in terms of setup. Cause it's really sort of a unique track the track type that there's nothing really like it that we run. So.
Awesome, Adam. Once again, congratulations on second place. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Not really, just Power Slide for all the work we do, and yeah, you guys for calling the race. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Adam, and catch you next week then.
That was Adam Blocker, and we have AJ Burton waiting for an interview, so let's bring him in there. Howdy, 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 AJ. How are you doing?
Doing good, thanks. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing just fantastic after a wonderful finish, and you gave us a lot of scary moments and a great show. In that three-way battle of Laura Gerhardt and I'm trying to remember the other car. Laura Gerhardt and I believe Clark Archer. You were around most of the race, and it was just a three-way fight you were constantly stuck in. How was that?
I'm not really sure who I was racing for most of that. I know I was with Matt Pavelski for a long time in the early stages because we were running, well, the same car, and we didn't really know what was going to happen in this race. We came in with next to no preparation, and we're just hoping to have some fun. And I think, well, in terms of the way the car was handling, had a lot of fun, but in terms of the result, would have hoped for better.
Definitely want to hope for better. You finished down in P10, top 10, but honestly, knowing you, you would always prefer to be up there near the front. The dirty air on this track was absolutely insane. How was your strategy on trying to counter it?
Yeah, so 30 air was horrible. In turn one, the car, it really wouldn't turn for us. So Brendan and Matt at this point was out of the race, made the call that we should probably try something different. We pitted very early for our final stop, so much so that I would have had to save fuel, which is why I dropped back a lot of the spots at the end. And that was to try and get some clean air, some good track position. And I was hoping for a yellow. A yellow would have made things interesting because we'd have got that track position, maybe a top 4, top 5 place on the restart. And who knows what could have happened then. Unfortunately, it never came about. And like I say, had to save fuel and couldn't make up enough fuel to hold on to my position.
Yeah, definitely it didn't pay out. This wasn't Richmond, so yellow wasn't on command always. So this is Homestead. Also, next week we're back again for the doubleheader. What's your preparation, if any, going into the road course?
I'll have to see about that. I'd like to race it next week, but I know I've got some plans next weekend, so it might be a bit tough. But it's a really good track. I like the Homestead road course. It's got some really challenging corners. Plus, with the sort of the oval part of the turn, I think we're running through 3 and 4 of the oval, which
We are.
adds to the difficulty on the circuit. It'll be a lot of fun, and there'll be a lot of passing, I think.
All right. Before we let you go, anyone who want to thank?
Just the guys at I5G, Broken Arrow, Brendan, Matt, Brandon, who was all there helping spot and do some strategy late in the race. It was a lot of fun being with those guys for this race, and hopefully we'll all be out next week as well.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, AJ, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week, guys.
That was AJ Burton. Before we go, Marco, any last thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I think we said everything that needed to be said. I cannot wait for second part of the doubleheader. Of course, don't forget that tomorrow we have at 22 GMT on the iRacing Esports Network the Formula 3.5 live broadcast. So you don't want to miss that if you want some more open wheel racing of the highest quality, and of course. I will gladly partner up again with you, Austin, for that, taking away from our Daytona 24-hour duties. So that is absolutely uncalled for. But work is work. So we will be there, and hopefully you will take a break from the 24-hour race and join us as well.
Man, I'll be driving at the exact same time. Nah, I'll be crazy if I was, but no, I'll be in the commentary box with you. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and the new subscribers for joining us here on Apex Racing. I hope y'all enjoyed the IndyCar series here at Homestead. We'll see you next week as we finish up this wonderful doubleheader. I've enjoyed my Marco Bob Nera. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night.
Woo!